No dilly, no dally zone, as we promised. I'm going to bring him in early, considering he's already fired up and ready to go. Kaylor's here. Last Thursday of the month, and that means one thing. It means Kaylor Hodges and the Band of Renown get to come out and party with us and tell us what's going on in the world of USL Championship, League One, anything else USL that he wants to talk about. Where's the cat, by the way?
Well, we have both of them in here. We're going to try to fight through it. It's too late. So we're grinding this morning.
Absolutely. We were, you and I always go back and forth on social media and stuff like that in between your visits. And the break glass visit that we had last time involving coaching vacancies in Major League Soccer and who might be called up from USL Championship, who's ready for these kinds of things. When it comes to hot seats and who might be able to jump to the next level, whether through good or bad, since we last talked, have things changed in your mind in any locations other than Wilmer Cabrera being newly employed and finally catching something of a rhythm in El Paso? What's going on in the coaching front in the USLness?
Hard not to mention Morten Carlson, who gets a move from Orange County to the first tier of Denmark. He's taking on a newly promoted side, and so he's leaving Orange County immediately to go out there. So, that's our first big promotion of the year. If you don't count the preseason had a lot of moving and shaking, and that's just how that goes. Morten Carlson, I think it's the one that you kind of have to look at. You kind of have to say, yep, that's a big deal. Yep, he got his promotion. That's awesome. If we're going to look at hot seats, we had already laid out that El Paso was in a super hot seat. That one seemed like a layup. Other than that, I kind of get the feeling that everybody is safe because we have people we're looking at different kinds of interim jobs, right? Like we have people who there's going to be replacements, but it's not because they're fired. It's because they're already interims.
Yeah.
Everybody else has like a long-term vision. Even Miami, where you look at where they are and say that's not very good. This is also very much by design. They brought them in to take on these kids. This is a young group, and that's what they want to do. They want to build a group around that. It's hard for me to find a true hot seat. I'm sure somebody's going to get fired, and we'll say in hindsight that makes a lot of sense. But right now, it's hard for me to find one.
God bless stability, or at least stable thought when it comes to have your coach do things at the halfway point of the season. Let me ask you now. There's one of the clubs. Oh, by the way, what's the mug and what's in the mug? Silly me for not
coffee in the mug. The mug is a swamp rabbit in Greenville.
Okay.
So it's a little grocery cafe. It has some of the best honey and some of the best bread that you can find in the Greenville area, and just really nice people. So enjoy them. Also, they are proud supporters of the Greenville Liberty and the Greenville Triumph. So we support the people who support the lower leagues.
Yes, absolutely true. Somebody who is back to being a coach in U.S. circles, he's been drawing the daylights out of things early this year. I cannot think of a first-year club that has had this many draws coming out of the blocks. And now they've started winning, and Conno Smith and Rhode Island are starting to get 3 points instead of 1, which I imagine was driving contributor here, Michael Parker, slightly crazy. But now that they're starting to turn draws into wins, they're moving up the table in the East.
Man, it was just kind of a regression to the mean because they were creating chances. Birmingham native Clay Holstad, he is a master at hitting the post. I think I think at some point somebody did a count, or I can't remember who it was. It may have been Rising Anchor. I cannot remember off the top of my head, but I think they said Clay Holstad has hit the post 7 times this year. and only scored now just twice. And so he can strike the ball cleaner than anybody else in the league. The ball comes off his boot cleaner than anybody else in the league. The issue is he puts it on frame. He just doesn't put it on target. That's his problem. So
He puts it on
I
frame,
mean,
doesn't put it on target. Okay.
oh, it's on the frame. Will not go in the back of the net. It will hit every single bit of the metal that surrounds the net.
Okay.
But finally things have just started going in. On the other half of this is that, they go to Louisville, they get a really good result, and the 5 goals flatter them a little bit because Lou City starts trying to go for the win. They leave themselves exposed. I don't think they were 5 goals good, but they were certainly 3 goals good, which is, what they end up winning by. As for El Paso, this is something that I'm going to echo what our friends in Seriously Loco and our friend Phil Bakke has said several times.
Mhm.
Wilmer Cabrera can put out whatever tactics he wants, but when the team looks like they've given up before the match starts, what can he do?
Wow.
And I mean, towards the end, it looked like El Paso had a little bit of fight to him, so much so that their captain gets a second yellow. And they get this 3rd goal shipped on them, and Rhode Island gets their first win at home. El Paso seems like they are going to need to completely clear house. And they have talent on that team too. If it ends up being a season where they start transferring talent, they start trading talent before the year's over, there are some hot commodities on that team. And they're going to be prime pickings. If they decide to wait till the offseason and just say we are clearing it all out, this offseason is going to be filled with incredible free agents. I just don't see any way that this team can stay together in El Paso with how rotten it looks like it's gotten down there.
I was going to say, I would imagine, though, that if you want some kind of return on an asset, then you're not going to wait until the season is over, and you're going to see if there are any takers, so you can start the football purge at Southwest University Park. And you got the new coach. You got the new coach bounce. You did, but now that you've gotten to losing 2 in a row, it does present an interesting question in El Paso as to how you want to approach the rest of this year. You're at the halfway point ish, and you've only won 3 out of 17, 3-11-3. How do you want to attack this? I think that's the bigger question there that you bring up when it comes to the last place team in the Western Conference that looked like they were trying to climb out of the cellar, but now they've lost 2 in a row.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that's bizarre is they do not win at home. They haven't won at home in 2.5 years.
Wow.
Ever since they had oh gosh, it wasn't Brian Clare out. It was the guy before him whom I cannot remember off the top of my head.
Lowry.
No, there was a guy in between that completely ruined their culture.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of the issue. And I can't remember his name off the top of my head now. Ever since then, and he played Evan Newton as a sweeper keeper, which I love Evan Newton. Man's not a sweeper keeper. He is a stick me as deep as I can on the line. I will block everything. Please don't play the ball to my feet. He did that. And El Paso fans got sick of it and booed Evan. And they were booing
John Hutchinson.
John Hutchinson. Thank you. They were booing their own players. And that was the third game at home 2-3 years ago now. And the team has never recovered. They have not recovered since that time. And I think you just have to full on get rid of everybody from that locker room because they have to have new faces. They have to have new ears that haven't heard the displeasures from fans. You have to get somebody who's ignorant to what the home record has been, because otherwise this is just going to become a repeating pattern.
So then let's stick in Texas. What the hell's going on in San Antonio?
Everybody's dead, hurt. Like,
Everybody's dead.
Kinda. I mean, I think when Legion played them, they had their longest injury plus international because San Antonio is a team that tries to get as many internationals as they can because best talent wins games, right? There's other teams that try to avoid internationals because they want to have their best 11 all year long. If you include their internationals and their injuries, they had 11 players on the out list.
Yikes.
They haven't been below 8 people out in one match, I think, since the 3rd week in the season.
Wow.
They have been decimated with injuries. And I also think now, okay, going back to the coaching question, I don't think San Antonio will do it, but Marcina is on the hot seat for fans. I don't think he's on the hot seat for the front office.
For the org, yeah.
But for fans, they want him out of there. And I kind of hate to say this, but he has not shown that he has more than one party trick. Alan Marcina has this high work rate system that works amazing if you have your players, which they did when they won the championship and were arguably the best team to ever play in the USL Championship ever.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They were great then. Players retire, players move away, players get moves up to MLS because they were great, right?
Yep.
They don't have those players anymore, and everybody's falling apart, and they don't have the same mindset. They are still sitting back, conceding all this possession because they want to be this counterattacking team, and they don't have anybody that can counterattack. They barely have people that can fully defend.
I was going to say, they barely have people who can function, apparently, health-wise.
When they came to Birmingham, I think of their people that were on the bench, I think 4 of them were academy products.
Yeah, understandable.
And they weren't going to get to play because why would they, right? They're not ready, but they have to fill out more than 3 people on the bench. And so Alan Marcina has not shown me that he can do anything to change to win matches. And when they were hot, they would change throughout the games and be like, oh, now we want to dominate possession. Mm-hmm. But that was when they had one of the greatest rosters that we have seen. They don't have that anymore. He doesn't have another card. He doesn't have something else he can play. He doesn't have another hand. He sticks to what he has. It's not winning. Yes, injuries aside, he's not getting the best out of the players he has.
So then let me bring this to the table as an idea. And it's something that we've seen here in MLS Next Pro with Atlanta United 2, where there just happened. You have to have times where you've got to see where your academy kids are. You've got to see where that next wave is within your own program. And sometimes throwing those kids into the fire to see where they are, and at the same time, make sure that they understand that this is not just something where, I'm throwing you into the deep end and there's no life preserver and I'm walking away from the pool. It gives the academy kids a chance to learn, and then the margin for their preparedness coming from academy to be ready for Alan Marcina. I would think that would let those margins would get a lot closer if you did have those academy kids come in and get cups of coffee in games that might be out of control. So that way Alan Marcina and the staff can get knowledge on their academy. They can see where the academy is, and they can see what they need to do to fill these gaps. And if you have an academy kid that is doing well and is giving you minutes and is going to run his ass off to help you out, what's it hurt right now? If you've got injuries and you're stuck, what's it hurt to have these academy kids get reps?
Look at Jose Gallegos, who was a San Antonio product, who's I think in Denmark, actually, funny enough, and he's playing in the first or second tier there. Like, he's got his move to Europe. Look at teams like Orange County, Louisville City. They throw in their academy kids all the time. The ones that are ready, the ones that prove that they can do it, they are constantly throwing in their academy kids. There's a reason why Orange County and Louisville City are being talked as equals to places like Philadelphia and Dallas in the grand scheme of U.S. soccer, because they are getting first team minutes against grown men. That's huge. And even if those players aren't going on to be U.S. men's national team or Mexican national team. They're still going to be starters for your team in MLS or going to be starters for your team in Europe. That means a lot. I think that's something that they need to explore big time, because I just don't see how they're going to figure out how to navigate a season without really giving their academy kids a ton of minutes.
At Kaylor Hodges at the USL show, halftime, we switch ends and we find out what's going on with Kaylor. Always the last Thursday of the month, the USL show drops by and lets us know what's going on in their mind when it comes to USL Championship, USL League One, any and all of the USLs that come to mind with topics. You'll notice in the Twitch pitch, for those of you who are watching, I've got a link that was posted. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to bring it in as a lower third since it's halftime. It's where you can get your gear for the USL shows so they can head out west and do cool stuff. Kaylor,
Yep.
Elaborate.
Yeah, so the very first thing, we have a USL show scarf, $25. It's going to help us get out there. So it has all the colors from the different leagues in the USL ecosystem, all kind of put into this fun little thing from all of New York with our slogan, the USL, the biggest league in the world. So don't ever forget it. So that is out there. If you want something to decorate your wall with, or if you are going to a US Open Cup match where a USL team is playing an MLS squad, you can hang that right above your head, SEC style, because it just means more here in the USL.
Yeah.
So below that, we have the kit for I've made for hammering down my personal podcast. It's the Magic City kit. It takes from iconic signage, the skyline, and the like filler stuff is 205 with a couple of gold bits in there. I think it's really nice. It's really fun. It's also white, so if you want to wear it outside and not die, you can do that.
Yes, slight issue about wearing dark things outside that absorb heat in this particular time of year. So support Kaylor and our buddies at the USL show. Get the gear, buy the stuff, go to Olive and York. Let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at the Western Conference just in general, and when you have 9 teams separated by 6 points, basically taking you from third to next to last, is it as crazy and stupid as it looks in the West right now?
Yes. I mean, we say it every single time we come on. Again, Phil Bucky has written about it several times. The West is just a straight up simulation. None of it's real. None of it exists. I mean, Las Vegas is a real contender for the playoffs. They're a really good team. You look at Oakland, who, they're finally playing Dom Dwyer. He's starting to look solid. Just yesterday, the Roots were sitting as high as third. They're now in sixth, because why not? They didn't even play yesterday, and that's just kind of what's happened. We have a lot of moving pieces. I think that there are contenders and pretenders in here that are in that little area, but I think there's a lot more contenders in there. I think that the West is legitimately, they are 10 deep. I think you have 10 teams in there that can legitimately push your New Mexicos and your Sacramentos to win the West.
So a Tulsa could push a Sacramento or a New Mexico, you think?
They're a pretender.
Okay.
Everybody, I mean, it's Tulsa and El Paso. Tulsa does not pass the sniff test. Everything coming out of Tulsa camp.
So you're saying if San Antonio got healthy, would they go into the contender category?
I think so.
Okay.
I do think that their top end talent contends with anybody in the USL. The issue is health and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of it's almost like what we see with Major League Baseball a lot of times, where teams refuse to go get somebody because, well, we have a guy on the 60-day, injured list. When he comes back, it's basically like a trade. We just got him back. We don't have to make a trade. I think that San Antonio is going to kind of think that way. And they're not entirely wrong, because if that team's healthy, they're really good.
So San Antonio is like the Vegas Golden Knights of USL Championship, where you have a Mark Stone or a Jack Eichel that's buried because of a long-term injury, but when you get healthy, it's just kind of like a trade, and then you bring in somebody new. All right, so you think San Antonio is above Tulsa in the contender category if they get healthy. You've mentioned Vegas. And then that leaves us with 6 teams separated by 2 points. Oakland, Monterey Bay, Memphis 901, Phoenix, Colorado Springs. And so what the heck happened with Colorado Springs? They got off to such an awful start, and they have turned it around to where they're at 500. They're in that gaggle of folks. Right now they're 7th at 21 points, and they had a 4-match unbeaten string snapped last time out. What got into Colorado Springs?
Malik Foster being arguably one of the best forwards in the league. Malik Foster, their right winger, he was very close to making our USL show best 11, mid-season best 11. And to be honest, the only reason he didn't make it was because you can't ignore the stats of Nick Marcanic. But if you look at the film, Malik Foster's been better. The film for Malik Foster is stunning this year. Just in general, this Colorado Springs team is just really well coached. This is the same conversation we're having with New Mexico, where the names don't look great, but names have to start somewhere, right? Names don't just come into the league as names. They have to be formed. They have to do something. And New Mexico and Colorado Springs feel like they have found something. They found talent that was overlooked, and they have good coaching on top of it. And I've really enjoyed it. They are just playing really good team soccer.
Who else is on at the USL show half season starting 11? Who else is on that all-star squad?
I will have to pull it up real fast to tell you.
Go ahead and filibuster. Go ahead and filibuster.
Yeah, basically there's a lot of fun just film things. There's a couple of players that several of us fought for, but we couldn't ignore the stats of other people. So in the back, we had Danny Vitiello for Sacramento. On the left back side, so we're going to go left to right, we have Aiden Stanley, who is leading the league in assists at left back. We had Guillen from Tampa Bay at center back. Benefemu, who is now in the 11, formerly of Miami of this year, came on really hot. Turnbull is on the right back side for Rhode Island. Sitting in as a CDM is going to be Aaron Malloy, arguably the best player in the league. Yeah. Easy. We have 2 central midfielders, Elijah Winder of Louisville City, who has been absolutely stunning. And then we have Hernandez, who is of San Antonio, who, again, has just been absolutely brilliant this year. Sitting in as a central attacking midfielder, we have Bruno Lapa of Memphis 901, and our 2 strikers, Nick Marcanic and Wilson Harris. Marcanic of Charleston Battery and Harris of Louisville City. And our manager thus far has been Eric Quill of New Mexico.
Where's Marlon, man?
So that was a real conversation for us because Marlon Santos has been really, really good. But our kind of conversation was, if you watch the film, the person that starts the chances for Marlon has been Bruno Lapa. We think that a lot of Marlon's success comes from Lapa, and also that right wing side has been just an absolute slog this year. It's legitimately 5 players deep that you could throw into a best 11. Meanwhile, the left wing side, there's kind of no one. The left wing side it's very weak this year, which is bizarre. And so we ended up not having a left winger in the team. We were like, no one deserved it, but Marlon was a very strong conversation.
I was going to say, I mean, if no one deserves it, then just stack it, sideways a little bit. If no one on the left wing deserves it from you guys, why should you put a left winger in? Just stack it with right wingers and points of the spear.
We went full on. We went full on Mark Lowry, and we did a 4-4-2 diamond because
There you
obviously
go.
that's just the way we are.
There you go. I mean, it's nothing. Dude, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. The best 11 is the best 11, and if no one on the left is any part of the best 11, then why worry about it?
Yeah.
So we've been spending a lot of time in the Western Conference. Let's talk about the
Sure.
East before you get out of here. We have talked about Rhode Island. Hartford has won more games so far this year than they have in recent memory. What the heck's going on with Pittsburgh?
I'm again, baseball brain. This is who I am.
Uh-huh.
They have been the Tampa Bay Rays for a long time, where they try to work on a budget and say Bob Lilly can get the best of them, and it's kind of finally caught up to them. Their cheapness has caught up. I don't think that Bob Lilly has done anything wrong. I think he's legitimately doing the best he can with the players he has. In our last episode of the USL show, we have started a phone line where you can call in, leave voicemails. Really fun. One of the things was biggest shocks, and
Are you sure that it can be really fun?
I screened these beforehand, so yeah. Not a complete live reaction. But one of the people in our Twitch pitch for ourselves has said Pittsburgh's a shock, and all of us kind of said we've been calling for the demise of Pittsburgh forever now. That to the point that we're not shocked it's finally happening.
Yeah,
they just have no one you can really believe in, and that sucks. Like Robbie Mertz.
Love Robbie Mertz.
I love Robbie Mertz. I think he is an absolutely stunningly good player. Danny Griffin is still one of the best players in the league. Keziah Sterling is legitimately one of the best strikers to grace the USL. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, you're kind of looking at EJ Johnson saying, do something for us. Canardo Forbes, still good, but not who he used to be. And at that point, you're just trying to convince yourself.
Okay.
Like I named 4 people, and 2 of them were me saying, eh.
Okay.
It's just kind of how it is this year. They overstepped how cheap they can be.
Charleston only has 3 points in their last 5 matches. They've kind of stumbled a little bit. They've got a lot of draws on the board. They've still only lost twice in 16. They lead that second group of Indy 11, who's going to be dangerous. I don't care who anybody, it's Indy 11. No, they're going to be dangerous for the entire season. Tampa, we talked about Tampa. We know that Sunrise is in the East. It comes through your curtain window, and Tampa is going to be strong no matter what. Lou City, to me, obviously number 1 in the East. Is anyone going to stop Lou City by the time we're talking about things in the Eastern Conference?
Tampa Bay, I think. I mean, they just beat them. Like they have proved Tampa Bay, I think, has proved to be the best team in the league right now. Okay. I think New Mexico is close behind them. But Tampa Bay has proved to be there. When we're talking about points, points on the table is points on the table. The East is probably still going to go through Louisville City.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about form and just how good the team is, Tampa Bay is going to be heavy favorites.
Okay. One more time. Here's the link. Go to Olive and York, support the USL show, get the scarf, get the jersey, send them out west. What's the latest on that? What's the timetables?
So it's going to be July 21st. We are going to be on the field for Sacramento versus Oakland. We're having a real blast with the people at Oakland. They're great. And we have a lot of fun plans in the work for that. A lot of fun guests that we're planning to have on. Obviously, we're going to have to battle CBS a little bit. Obviously, I think we can take them in a multi-billion-dollar corporation. I think we're fine. So we have a lot of fun stuff that we're planning to do with that, including the night before doing almost like a wraparound show of just kind of talking about the matches, getting together and talking about what's going on live, giving live reactions to things, and a lot of other exclusive interviews that are being planned along the way. So it's really fun.
So are you going to be back in town by the 25th for your next visit?
Yes, I will be back in town. Actually, I think I'll be teaching at that point.
Okay. Well, then you'll be finding rooms to try to hide in when it comes to teaching.
Always.
At Kaylor Hodges, at the USL show. Great to find out what's going on in USL Championship, League One, and anything else on your mind. Be safe, my friend. If we break glass, we'll break glass. But other than that, we'll see you on the flip side when you come back from Oakland. You'll have stories to tell.
Jaden Hibbert's the truth.
No doubt about it, brother. We're sharing the gospel of Jaden Hibbert from Atlanta United 2 to Birmingham Legion. Be safe, my friend. We'll see you next time.
See ya.